remove the file marks from the coarser stuff. The rest I'll take out with sandpaper. That's looking nice. It's looking really nice. Alright, other side. Same thing. Okay. Boy, that's looking good. I think what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna cut a center line straight down the handle, because I think maybe I want I think I might want a center wedge. Okay, so here's what I'm gonna do. Because these three markings here, those three lines, because those are gonna hold onto the wood so tight, I'm probably gonna do a center wedge that spreads it this way, because I'm seeing there's a little bit of gap. I'm trying to get you guys to be able to see that. There's gap in there between the wood and the steel. It's not a problem. I just have to wedge it out. Now, what that means I'm going to do, try and get this off, is I'm going to cut a center line for a wedge. It's going to go right down here, right straight down. Alright, I'm going to show you guys a very important step in the process. So, I have now taken down that center cut. I'm going to zoom you all in a little bit, right? Y'all can see that? Yep. Okay, so right there is where the cut ends. And so what I'm going to have to do, and this is very important, so that as you're wedging, you don't split the handle all the way down and it splits out like that. That's what you do not want to happen. That is a worst case scenario. So what we do to prevent that is we drill a hole at the end of the cut. So that way there's nothing for a crack to happen. I mean, obviously if you go, splitting it too much, it's going to crack up, but if you're just splitting it a little bit, or if you're just wedging it a little bit, it's not going to have too big of an effect. So, I've got, I don't know what size this is, but try and get this, but it's pretty tiny. And I just find the end of that cut, and I drill straight through all the way. Okay, looking good. So I've got a little bit of tear out here from that's the back side of the cut, that's the front side. got a little bit of tear out from the cut and from drilling, so I just taking my knife and cleaning that up a little bit. So far it's looking really great. So now what I'm going to do is I am going to select wood wedges. Now these were given to me by Beavertooth, meaning they came in the box with all of the handles, and these do a really good job. I have hung axes with hardwood. These are tulip poplar, which is a hardwood, but it's quite soft. I have hung axes with super hardwood, and it works okay, but it's harder to get, in my personal experience. This is me personal. In my personal experience, it's harder to get the wedge seated. Only, I guess because they don't, I'm just going to say they don't crush as easily, or they're not very flexible. But with tulip poplar, it's soft enough to where you can work it in there, but then once you soak it in oil, it's going to expand back up, which is what I'm looking for. But that being said, you wouldn't want to do a pine wedge because that's way too soft. So I've got two sizes here. This is a double bit and this is a single bit. So I'm going to use a double bit to go across lengthways this way. So this is the cut that we made here, and sideways. So that's going to fit across the whole axe head when we go to hang it. Or sorry, wedge it. And then I'm going to use one of the single bit wedges. I'm just going to take a cut off it so that I can expand that sideways. Now comes the most important part of the process. Well, at least one of them. I've probably been saying that the whole time. Let's see. So, what I've got going on here is, these are not supposed to be. Alright. So, what I've got going on here is, down there are two little stumps, two little cookies that I cut off the tree, and those are just to hold the handle once it's up in the vise. Great. Okay. Now, what I'm going to do is I'm going to put the axe head on, and it is going on for good. Once you make that commitment, and once you wedge it up, it's on there for good. So, tap it in. It's pretty nice to do it on those stumps. It helps a lot. That was loud. Okay. Listen for when it seats down. You're gonna probably hear it. Hopefully you'll hear it. Hear how it started ringing like that? That means it's seated. It's kind of like kind of thuds a little bit. Boy, that's looking pretty nice. That's looking way nice. It's looking real even. Looking real level, even. It's looking good. Okay. Okay, so I'm chalking it up in the vise like that. That's what the stumps are used for, those little rounds right there, just to support it. Gonna bring you guys in. Now there's just a little bit too much extra wood right here, and it's not much, but I'm just going to take a little bit off because it helps in the process of wedging it. And now this is going to turn into 2 cuts. So I'm removing a little bit up here so that we can wedge it, and then after we wedge it, I'm going to cut a straight line all the way across, which makes the wedges and the wood all level, which is personally one of my favorites. Okay, not too much, not removing too much. That was like maybe a third of an inch. So, just keeping it in line, but leaving enough so that I can make that second cut. Okay, so now one thing I should add. You can do it if you want to, but please don't ever glue the handle to the axe, because it's a pain in the butt to get it off next time. And it doesn't actually keep the head on all that much, because if you're rattling this thing off, it's already broken the glue. So that's what I'm gonna do. Make sure y'all can see that. I'm gonna zoom way in. Okay, closer. There we go. Alright, and so y'all are going to see that line open up and fill in these gaps. So I glue these pieces heavily so that I do glue the wedges. I want the wedges to stay on because those can drive out. But whoop, that was too much glue. Too much. Glue both sides. Heck, all the sides. That's looking good. Okay, I'm just gonna set it in here for right now. Now the reason I'm doing the shorter wedge first, is so the lines that help grip the axe head to the handle are not interfering with these two sides expanding. So it's real thin right now, and so they're not really touching. So I'm going to expand this top, and then I'm going to expand it this way. So it's better to not hit the wood wedge with steel at first, only because you don't, for one thing, you don't want to squish the wedge, but you also really want to watch what's happening to the wedge. And so this is going to make it go a little slower. So I just take a block, piece of wood, and I just bring it down. Look, make sure everything's in alignment. A little more. It's wanting to go this way on me. See? Okay, there we go. Looking good. little more. A little more. So that's filling in real nice. That's looking good. Okay, see how it's peeling out right here? That's good. That means it's filling up that gap. I could have gone a little shorter, but that's alright. So that's good. So I think I'm going to do a few more hits with the wood block, and then I'm just going to move straight to steel. So it sounds like it's almost, that one's almost completely seated. So I'm going to leave that one for now. It needs to expand just a little more. Okay, that's looking good. Alright, now I'm going to move on to the big wedges, drive those in, and then I will drive everything home. Drive it home so much to where it smushes, which is not bad. If the top part of the wedge smushes over, that's how you know it's really on there. It's really packed in. So a little bit of glue, get some glue on those wedges, spread it all around, pack it in there. Pack it into the pores so that it really binds one end to the other. Get it all in there. Place the wedge in. Now, actually, should have done that. Should have checked before I glued it up. That's alright. I'm just going to shear a little bit off. Those side wedges are just a little too fat. A little too wide. So I need to remove like a 1/16 of an inch for it to fill in. Okay, that should do it. And I have glue on my bench now. Okay, that fits perfect right there. That's great. Okay. So just set that one in there. Measure this one. See, that one's going to need another 1/16 of an inch off of there. 1/16, 1/8. Pretty damn close when you're wedging this kind of stuff because it expands and shrinks a lot. And I'm just doing this mostly by eye, and you can do it, you know, like you're doing rocket surgery, but otherwise you don't have to go too crazy. Alright, glue this one up, pack the glue in, get it on both sides, all sides, everywhere. Okay, and place it in there. Looking good. Alright. Whoops. Alright. Now I'm going to drive those two about to the same level as that little one that we put in. Slowly, making sure to watch everything. Those are seating nicely. Very nicely. Starting to see some expansion. It's looking good. So, did not see that. A little bit of a gap there. Let me see, I might be able to work that out with some tools that I have. Maybe. That's what happens when you don't watch it, and I'm glad you all saw me do it first, so that you know what to watch for. I'm gonna use something a little blunter. Alright, it's starting to pack in there a little bit, but I think we're just gonna have to live with it. It's not perfect, but it's alright. Now, I mean, if it's on there, then it's on there. If there are gaps like that, then you can fill it with like a mixture of sawdust and a little bit of glue, just to clean it up aesthetically. Aesthetic. That word sounds like Sylvester the cat. Okay. So now, I'd say I can just move on to hitting it with just steel and really pack it in there. It's going down. It's getting down in there. It's going. Which is exactly what we're looking for. Getting tear out on both sides. It's packing in there. Alright, there we go. Okay. Keep packing it in there until it just won't go no more. Man, get up close here. It's in there. See how much that's expanded? These two sides. It's way out there. Man. This right here. Excuse me. That's the handle. That's the handle, and that's the wedge, and so it just pushed it out, which is, man, that's mean. It's really mean. It's awesome. A little bit extra wedge. That's how much we were packing that in there. It just split off the side. Let me show you the other side, how that's going. Looking good. Now, see, right there, that's the gap. It's tiny, but it's there. Always inadequacies, but that's alright. Probably just gonna do glue and sawdust. Okay, that's where I'm gonna leave it for today. It's wedged up, it's gluing. I think it's gonna turn out nicely, even with that little tiny gap. But I'm probably gonna. I might cut it in this evening. I might cut it short, and then let it set completely overnight, just so it has some real time to glue up before I go doing anything crazy with it. So I will catch you guys on the next episode, and thank you again for watching.